sir, before we move forward, I'd request, can we have, can you share the co-host with Mr. Ram Prasad, because he'll like to run a small video. So before he runs the video, I'd like to say one thing. Like, there is a factor with loneliness and depression that is going on during this pandemic and before that also. UK and US, they have got a department, they have got a government department for loneliness and depression. 10 million people in UK are depressed, they are lonely. We don't have that problems. Of course, our society is more, mixing. We have got people talking to each other, we have got people connected. But at the same time, we also, at certain moments, get depressed. We also, certain moments, feel to be lonely. So Gita has got a lot of things in it for people who get depressed and people who take adverse steps. There is, see, if you look at the demographics of the world, India at the moment is one of the youngest countries. Our average age is 28. That means people like Vikramji, who are less than 28 are 50%. People like me, who are more than 28, are 50%. So India's average age is 28, whereas the average age of Britain is 44. That of Europe, whole of Europe, is 47. The Pope calls it a haggard community. And our youthful US, ever youthful US, is 46. So the message of the Gita is very important for youth because they are going to drive the future. Talking about loneliness, I can call upon the best person, who is Mr. Vishal Gupta, who is a lawyer, who is a photographer, who is a cook, who is a writer, who is a whatnot. He is also into paintings and all that. Mr. Vishal Gupta.
And now also your fan, Satadilji. Also your fan. Vikram, what to say? Congratulations, congratulations. And to be very frank, I am not surprised at all to read your book. Why? Because a brilliant man has written a brilliant book. This was expected out of you. So I'm not surprised. Fantastic. Well done. You deserve it. For me, Vikram is a modern Adi Shankaracharya or a modern A.C. Bhaktivedanta of ISKCON. Now, why do I say this? Modern. Because before Adi Shankaracharya, who was born around 700 AD, there was no one to interpret the Gita, the Vedas and the Upanishads properly. It was Adi Shankaracharya who, through his Bhashya, has given us the interpretations which we today are reading. He was the first person. Before that, there were the Vedas were very short and they were cryptic, difficult to decode. So that's how Adi Shankaracharya became famous, because of his Bhashya. He interpreted every great text. And same A.C. Bhaktivedanta did with ISKCON. Today, every house has Gita as it is, if you see. And the photo of the Gita as it is with Arjun and Krishna is there in every house now. So he was able to give a different interpretation, a new interpretation. So Vikram has given a modern interpretation. So he's the modern Adi Shankaracharya in that sense. Vikram, the book has been very, very well written. And what better book? The Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is I think Germans have read it. Everybody reads it. But I would like to just say one small thing about the Bhagavad Gita. For me, it's a live book. There are books which are a little dead, but this is a live book. Why do I say it's live? Because I started reading the Bhagavad Gita at the age of 16. It was gifted to me by somebody. And I used to make notes because my mother was very spiritual, and I used to make notes and underline and highlight. And it happened so that those notes got lost. So again, after 3 years, when I read the Bhagavad Gita again, I made my new notes, and I found my old notes also after some time. And I compared my notes, and I realized that the same paragraph, after 3 years, my interpretation was different. So so the point I'm trying to make is that every paragraph is laden with so much knowledge, the depth of knowledge, that a book can be written about every paragraph, according to me. And therefore, we bring in the meaning to the book. And this is Vikram's reflection and meaning, which is fantastic. So what we're getting to see is a modern guy in the 21st century giving his take, which is amazing. So I read the book, and the good things I loved about it is the structure. Vikram, you start by defining the terms, and that's very important, because until you don't define a term, then the reader is not on the same page. You may use a word like depression or any word, and you may have a different meaning, and the other person may have a different meaning. So what Vikram has done is he first defines the term, then he quotes from the Bhagavad Gita, then he gives his own personal story. And that was a masterstroke, Vikram. Because by giving your own personal story for that word, you have connected with the audience. I could connect. When I read your story, it was just like this. So that was a masterstroke. And then he goes on to even give a nice quote. Then he also gives the story of some famous star, like in Depression, he's given the quote of The Rock. Satalji was talking about The Rock. The Rock did Dwayne Johnson ka story diya hai aapne. Fantastic. So the mood question, I mean, I'll use the word mood because as a lawyer, the mood question is, why do people like books? Because not only they have to be informative, they also have to be entertaining and interesting. Entertainment doesn't mean I'm talking about that item number. I'm talking about these anecdotes, these quotations, these stories of the stars. So I think the book is a perfect package. Now, coming to depression, my God, this amazing stuff you've given information. I loved the way you've also described the four hormones: dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, and oxytocin, written about them. And it's the need of the times, because people are suffering from depression, and they need some literature to read to understand what's happening to them and to come out of it. According to me, mental health all over the world is neglected. And as you know, the mind is the root problem of everything, the mana. And we've been known this for last 5,000, 10,000 years. Now everybody's giving importance to the mental health. So I think the book is timed very right, and is going to really help a lot of people. Then also one more thing which you do in every chapter, you give solutions. And again, that's another masterstroke. So after defining the word, describing the problem, giving lovely quotations, talking about yourself and other stars, you also give a solution which everybody is looking for. So all in all, fantastic. The chapter on loneliness, I think, was a very important chapter, because depression people talk about, and it's still a word which is very liberally used. But loneliness is something which people don't talk about. And I have elder parents, 70 plus, 80 plus. I have neighbors who are in that age bracket. And I can tell you that's the main problem. People now need to talk to people. And with social media and everybody now, or just on their WhatsApp, people are not communicating enough. People are not hugging enough. People are not even shaking hands enough. So this loneliness problem is a big problem. It's going to increase. And you differentiated the difference between being alone and being lonely also very well. So when you define also, and then you differentiate the definition with other words, fantastic. I'll be very frank, with all due respect to Ashish ji. He gave you 9.4. I'm going to give you 9.99 for the book, plus minus 0.01. 9.99 plus minus 0.01. And read it as 0.01 on the top only. Congrats, Vikram.
Thank you, Vishal. Such a lovely synopsis of what you have taken away from this book. Viewers, Vishal is himself a very great established author. He has written 4 books to my knowledge, and several others which I don't know about. And primarily his books are focusing on happiness. In my opinion, the biggest pursuit in life is happiness. Do whatever it needs to be done just to make you happy. That's all. Nothing else, no material, no spiritual, nothing will make you happy. Happiness is within. Nothing comes from outside. You have to spring the well. You have to identify the source inside you and bring it out. And that is what Vishal does through his books. Vishal, I would request you to please post the links of your book in the chat box so that everybody can take a look at your book. Thank you, Vishal.
Thank you so much, Vikram. All the best. And just one last parting thought. You know, for any successful person, the second in command has to be very good. You know, so whether you step on the moon, you still have a Buzz Aldrin in the second command. You climb Mount Everest, you still have a second. And here, the second in command, Satadil ji has done an excellent job. I think he's a MC par excellence. Satadil ji, full marks to you. It was very well hosted and entertained, and kept it very interesting. And the presence of mind and the play with words have been world class. To the AFH community, I'm so glad and so excited and so honored to have such amazing people. So I keep thanking so much. I said books to likh raha hu, but benefit मुझे ज़्यादा हो रहा है कि interesting लोग मुझे मिल रहे हैं बात करने के लिए. So I love you all, AFH community. I love you all, and God bless you all. And thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak, Vikram. You're a great friend. And I hope हमारी दोस्ती चलती रहेगी ऐसे.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
Great, Vishal ji. Like you said that आप मेरे fan हो गए, मैं तो आपका fan हो गया. And a happy Friendship Day. Friendship Day पे हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं. Nothing greater than that. Everybody is a friend, and everybody will remain a friend. Thank you very much to be here and sharing your thoughts. And as your books, your thoughts are also motivating. Talking about Gita, talking about a bestseller. What more can I talk more than Gita? Gita is a bestseller forever. 10,000 verses in Mahabharata and 700 in Gita. Now, Mahabharata, cooks up the story, brings it to the brink of the war, and then the 700 verses happen. Bestseller. And talking about bestseller, we can talk about one more Gita. Gita Ramachandran with two bestsellers to our kitty. Gita Ramachandran, please.
Good evening, distinguished guests, my friends, my co-authors. It is indeed an honor to be present in this gathering. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, very much.
And I'm very happy that Vikram asked me to talk about 2 chapters from this book, Seeds of Advice. I have read that book completely, and I was very happy to read that because I was just wondering how one conceives a book like this. You take points from there, you take the best points from Mahabharata, and you put it down in a form which is so easy to understand, and you start savoring each and every verse in that. You understand the meaning. He has put it so perfectly well that I have written a review, and I wanted to name that book as Seeds of Advice to Overcome Vices, a practical guide to read and abide. So with that, let me talk about the first chapter that has been given to me, which is Grief After Sulace. Vikram has mentioned that grief is the outcome of a loss of a loved one or a breakup. And the reason he attributes it to is moham, or grief, which arises from intense attachment. The loss can be in any form, be it physical, social, materialistic, or occupational. And the pain of grief can disrupt your physical health, making it difficult to sleep, eat, or even think straight. In fact, when Vikram asked me to speak about grief, actually I was going through a very pathetic phase in my life. And so I actually suspected whether he wanted me to speak on this because of that. But then he said no. So I will just go about with why he asked me to. There are certain stages of grief which has been mentioned by him, uh, which has been presented by psychiatrist Elizabeth Rose. The first one is denial. Yes, if you come to know that there is something which is going to happen, the first thing that you will do is, oh, this can't be happening to me. You start denying it. The next one that he has mentioned is anger. We start getting angry with God, with everybody, and we say, why is this happening to me? Why not to somebody else? What have I done? This is the next stage. And the other stage is bargaining, where you say, oh God, let this not happen to me. I will do anything. I will go to the temple. I will do this offering, which probably most of us do it when we hear of something which can affect you. And the next one is depression. Well, I too went into that stage for some time. Like, I just said that I'll not do this, I'll not do that. I just kept myself away, but then I came out of it. Probably this is what he means by the depression, but somebody over here has already gone through that. Not me to that extent, but yes, it depresses you. And the last one that he mentioned is acceptance, where you start accepting it, let it be. So what? We'll come out of it. Nothing can happen. These are certain positive things. Let us get on with it. These are certain things which we probably, when we are affected by grief, which happens to you. Now, coming to the question of, because in each chapter, what he has done is he has mentioned about those emotions or feelings, and then he has given a solution from the Bhagavad Gita, as well as solutions from the other principles, from behavior science or management principles, whatever be it. So, coming to question of overcoming grief, what he has mentioned is the first one is healing. This process begins with accepting the absence of the loved one and then gradually reverting to the normal life. And then he has spoken about time. And we all know that time heals, but it may not be same for everybody. For some, it may take years. For some, it may be months. For some, it may be quicker. And the next one that we probably see in the movies is crying. You know, the outburst of emotion with crying. He has spoken about that. And other one is socializing. Generally, some people do that. They come out, they get back into society and treat everything as normal so that they can forget the grief. And the last one is embracing life, which is the best one. You accept it and move on. Now, by taking few verses from the Bhagavad Gita, from chapter 2, Vikram has conveyed the wisdom as follows. A normal mind sees death as a painful end, but an enlightened mind knows that through death, the soul leaves one body and enters into another. Hence, death is an act of rejuvenation to be rejoiced rather than grieving. The soul is eternal and it transcends from one body to another. It is immortal. So finally, he sums up saying that you can move on, but you can never ever forget your loved ones, as they remain forever in your broken heart, just like the broken leg, where the hurt remains, but you still dance with your limping leg. So this is the chapter on grief. Certain portions I read from there so that I do not distort the meaning. Next one is the chapter on zeal over laziness. This chapter explains that laziness is avoiding at all costs, despite being capable of doing. There are three types of laziness: being comfort oriented, loss of heart, or indifference. And I know that all of you may be thinking of some specific person who fits these types. So I don't want to give meaning to that because it is really understood from the terminology itself. Whereas laziness is avoiding all work, procrastination is what most of us are guilty of, that of doing something else and delaying the action till the last minute. Now, again, Vikram Uvacha from the Bhagavad Gita, he explains that you can't maintain even your body without taking action, which is the least expected as a duty from you. So, consistent, imperfect actions are better than inaction. Don't expect results without performing your karma or duty. Regulate your sleep diet, and meditation to prevent lethargy. In addition to the Bhagavad Gita solutions, he has added some self-management principles of setting goals, staying motivated, getting accountability partners, improving self-esteem, improving metabolism, mindfulness, focus, and commitment to overcome laziness. Now here, Vikram has concluded the chapter with the Japanese principle of Kaizen, which suggests adopting a 1 minute principle to change your attitude. Change your habit with 1 minute actions over a prolonged period. So I would like to thank Vikram for counting on me to talk about these chapters. Let me also thank each one of you over here to me and Satadil in particular for calling me. Thank you so much.
Geeta ji, thank you so much for bringing this out so beautifully in such few words. And I think I have done a great task by bringing out, excerpts from Bhagavad Gita, and from my chapters, you have brought out the seeds so beautifully. You have actually helped the seeds to germinate in a few minds today, I am very sure. And viewers, in this book, which we keep showing you, Geeta ji is also a leader mentioned in this book. And she has been the first woman engineer in Bharat Petroleum in her times. Imagine a woman walking in saris and she is asked to go back and change into a boiler suit. Imagine what was the cultural dilemma that she faced. Yeah. And Geeta ji, as I love poetry, though I am not able to write any, but sometimes when I find a few lines, I try to mention them in my work. This one is by Gloria Pizzer about procrastination. She says, "Procrastination is my sin. It brings me naught but sorrow. I know that I should stop it. In fact, I will tomorrow." That is what we all do in our life. एक दिन करेंगे. कोई पूछता है क्या करेंगे? हाँ, ये करना चाहता हूँ, वो करना चाहता हूँ, पर एक दिन करेंगे. वो एक दिन कब आएगा? It has to be now. Get started. Thank you, Geeta ji, for this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Geeta madam. You are always an inspiration for everybody around. And of course, if you read your books, read her books, anybody can get inspired. Madam, kindly put the links of your books in the chat box for the people who are still willing to take the link from here. Otherwise they'll procrastinate it till tomorrow. So if you can share the links over here. Vikram ji, there is a question for you from our side, and Lalit Hundlani would like to ask that question. In fact, I would ask that question, but Lalit is the first one to raise the hand. Lalit, please.
Thank you, Satadil ji. So here I am again to trouble Vikram ji on this, auspicious occasion. So Vikram ji, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I am here.
Okay. So Vikram ji, my question to you is, from the name, it seems it looks like a religious book, since it's a link to a Bhagavad Gita. So is it so? So would you like to share with our audience and the viewers? Is it a religious book or something else?
Very good question. First of all, Lalit, I feel that way, and with no disrespect to any other religion or anything, religion did not exist in India at all. Religion is an imported terminology. In India, it was always a lifestyle. In India, we always believed in philosophy. The Indian civilization at large are not human beings with spiritual experiences, but spiritual beings with human experiences. It is said by many gurus and mentors that the total number of living beings on this planet always remain the same. If one species goes down, the human species has increased tremendously. How? By diminishing the other species. So the spirit that is existing in the human is the same as that is existing in any other life form. So it is all about spiritualism, which is away from any kind of religion. And that is one reason why people across the globe are accepting the philosophies and learnings from the Gita. If you read any behavioral scientist, any Western philosopher, their core message is absolutely the same as what we have been learning from 5,000 years on this planet. Thank you, Lalit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vikramji. Very well explained. Yeah. Sorry,
Vikram sir, there is another question coming up from Rupal Mohta. Please answer this as well. Rupalji, please.
Vikramji, let's lighten the atmosphere a little. And when we think of an author, we have this picture in front of us, a lone person sitting in front of a window, looking out with their thoughts and their loneliness. So it's a very introverted journey, right? And here you are like a rock star, you have your YouTube channel, and you're absolutely amazing there. So who's the real you? Is this introverted person the real you, or is this extroverted rock star the real you? So who's the real you?
Okay, before I talk about my channel and people are wondering what it is about, if you give me the permission, can I show a few snippets from my channel?
Yes,
Absolutely.
please.
Visuals.
Can I have people in the chat box writing show the channel. Thank you so much. Now that I have your permission, I'm going to bring it on. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for patiently watching this video. And now back to your question, Rupalji, who am I really? You see, Isht Devta is some form of God that you idolize. And I idolize Sri Krishna as my Isht Devta. Now, who is Sri Krishna? The one who is a Makhan Chor, the one who plays with the gopi, the one who plays the flute and dances Ras Leela, or the one who talks about philosophy, or the one who goes to the war and leads the war against the villains? Who is he? So, this example is there to tell us that our capabilities are unlimited. And if we try, we can achieve anything that we want. And this is how I have been into this journey from one end to the other, from solitude and confinement as a writer to a social personality outside facing the entire world. Now, it will be necessary for me to mention that my mentor for uh, this uh, this work of my YouTube channel is none other than my 19-year-old son Mehul, and I would like to show him here. Uh, Hi Mehul, and I call him Ustadji. He's my mentor for this channel. Wherever I have an issue, any problem, he's there as an effortless guide. He's my Sri Krishna. So, Mehul, would you like to say something?
Thank you everyone for having me here. And it's been a great opportunity. And I love taking part in this stuff. And I know a lot about YouTube, so I like to help my dad with it.
Thank you, Mehul.
Thank you. everyone.
So if we can say safely, child definitely is the father of man here.
Certainly, certainly. And this is being proved here.
So it works well, Mehul. You should get a good raise with that pocket money there. Trouble your dad, don't leave him, huh?
Over to you, Satyadil.
Very good job, Mehul. He has been working, his exams are coming and he has been working relentlessly behind this launch. And I know like how much hard work he has put. He's a young champ, really a young champ. Congratulations for being there. And of course,
Thank you.
you have got the guidance of your great father with you, which is your astra. And you have used the astra pretty well. And thank you for every little technical glitch that we continued facing, while going through that. And you have helped us through this while we were preparing for this. Thank you for being there.
Thank you.
Moving forward, there are very few speakers in the world. I'm talking about the world. Very few speakers in the world who are crystal clear about their thoughts and about what they want to say. You talk about Tony Robbins, or you talk about Brian Tracy, or you talk about somebody else, you talk about me. No, don't talk about me. You talk about some other speakers. Sometimes it happens that they get stuck. They get stuck with their thoughts, not words, thoughts. But there is one guy whom I have met on screen, like not physical meeting, who's very clear with his thought process. Whatever is there in his mind, he can speak out at any platform. I call him Raja Hindustani, and he is Lalit Hundzani.
Thank you, Satyadil ji, for such a great introduction. I am yet to sink in, because that's comparing with likes of Tony Robbins and Brian Tracy is little too much. Nevertheless, I thank you and Vikram ji for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this august company of the eminent gathering, and it's a pleasure and gratitude from my side. I never imagined that I could be there with the accomplished people like you, Vikram ji, Ashish sir, and all. Truly an honor, sir. Now it's my opportunity to talk about the book. Now, before I do that, I don't know whether everybody is able to hear me or not. So if you can hear me, type LC. And if you are not able to hear me, please type NA, which is not audible. So LC everybody knows, NA nobody knows. Okay, so not audible. So please type. Great. So everybody has spoken about the book. So the book is great, no doubt. And I would like to describe it as Dr. Rana also mentioned. It's a fusion. So where we are talking about a scripture and merging it with the modern behavioral science to make it more relevant to the contemporary generation, so that they are able to relate more to it. And as we have seen during this discussion, Mr. Spandan Ganguly was also talking about referring it to his students so that becomes a guidebook. It becomes simpler. So Gita becomes simpler. So that is what Vikramji has done. Now, essentially, the book is good, awesome. But if I have to talk about, I would like to talk about two chapters in particular. So one is chapter number 5, which talks about bewilderment, and chapter number 13, which is about desperation. Now, maybe one of the reasons I would like to talk about these chapters is because their connection to my niche of focus and productivity and clarity. So that is one of the reasons. I will just take 90 seconds, Atalji, for each chapter and I will be done. So chapter 5, bewilderment. So bewilderment, we all know, talks about a state of confusion. So in the book, we get in detail what are the causes of bewilderment, how bewilderment delays decision making as our mind seeks clarity and certainty. It beautifully states there are 3 types of bewilderment. So on one hand, we have a hypoactive situation, which causes inaction and action paralysis. And on the other hand, we have hyperactivity, which is overstimulation. Now, to get the optimum output or results, neither of the situation is recommended. Now, connecting these states with Arjuna's predicament in the epic war of Mahabharata is a master stroke by Mr. Vikram Khetan, which only he can do. Despite his heightened consciousness, wisdom, and all his awareness, how a warrior like Arjuna lends himself into this situation is worth thinking. Now, the chapter doesn't only talks about the types and connects it to Gita, it also gives you the solutions. So there are various solutions which are offered, how we can come out of this. I would especially like to mention the one which I like the most, and which is about seeking a mentor. And the reason why I liked it most, see, if a personality of Arjuna's caliber, he needs a mentor to come out of this situation of bewilderment, state of confusion, and to sail through, then who are we? We are much lesser mortals. So that's why this particular solution connected most with me. Now, moving on to chapter number 30, which talks about desperation or hope for desperate. Now, why I liked it was this chapter talks about transition from a state of hopelessness to optimism. Vikramji has methodically enumerated the reason behind the situation, the causes, and the effects thereof. He has gone deeper in the subject, and where he shares 9 types of despair, which range from something as trivial as lack of inspiration to limitedness, where you are yourself obstructing your progress and then falling into this trap of despair. The chapter reaches its climax, where some effective and practical tips are offered to cure desperation and instill hope in our lives. As I would like to call them as the super hacks. And if I have to pick my top 3 from the 15 hacks that have been mentioned in the book by Vikramji, so those would be, number 1 is do that one thing, which again talks about focus. So you have to be very, very focused at whatever you want to do. Just choose one thing rather than getting attracted by multiple things. Second is find a purpose in life. Having a purpose gives you a sense of direction. Otherwise, you are just like a ship in the sea, which doesn't know where to go. So having a purpose in life is very, very important. So it keeps you going and you are not lost. And when you are not lost, there is no confusion, no despair. And the third thing is doing the things for a right reason. So I'm a firm believer, having a strong why is very, very important, so that when the times are not good, you go through turbulent situations, you have capacity to move on. So that's why I like these 3 hacks most. Now, to sum it up, I would just like to recite a verse from this book and specifically from this chapter, which I love. And thank you, Vikramji, for quoting it. He is a lion in the bird cage, a bird deep under the sea. He is doing the best he could, but he isn't where he ought to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Lalit, for reciting this verse. Thank you so much for noticing it and bringing it out so beautifully.
Loved it, Vikramji. Thank you.
Thank you, Lalit. As